Ever been stuck in a drive-through line while a Karen blocks everyone, demanding her order be remade for free? That's what happened at my restaurant, and it turned into a showdown you won't believe. It was a chaotic lunch rush at Burger Haven, a fast food joint in the heart of our suburban town, where the smell of fries and the hum of idling engines set the stage for an unforgettable clash. Have you ever dealt with a Karen at a drive-thru? Drop your worst experience in the comments below. The clock had just struck noon, and Burger Haven was slammed. The drive-thru lane snaked around the building, packed with sedans, SUVs, and a couple of delivery vans, all waiting for their burgers and shakes. Inside, the kitchen buzzed like a well-oiled machine, grills sizzling, fryers bubbling, and employees darting between stations. The security cameras, perched above the drive-thru window, silently watched the line, their footage feeding to a small monitor in the manager's office. A policy board hung prominently near the window, listing rules for order disputes in bold, black letters. Please present the item for inspection to receive a replacement. It was a rule nobody usually questioned, until today. Tom, our assistant manager, stood at the drive-thru window, his manager badge pinned neatly to his red Burger Haven polo. At 50, Tom was a former Marine with a calm, steady presence that anchored the team during the lunch rush. His short, cropped gray hair and easy smile hid a no-nonsense core, honed from years of leading under pressure. He moved with purpose, double-checking orders and keeping the line moving, all while mentoring the younger staff. Today, he was assisting Sarah, a 20-year-old cashier who'd been with us for just 3 months. Sarah was a quick learner, polite to a fault, with a knack for keeping customers happy. But difficult customers, that was still a work in progress. She stood at the cash register, her ponytail bouncing as she handed out bags of food, her voice bright but tinged with the strain of the rush. "Here's your order, sir. Have a great day," she called, passing a bag to a customer before glancing at the next car pulling up, a silver minivan that would soon turn our day upside down. Behind the wheel was Karen, mid-40s, her blonde hair pulled into a tight bun, yoga pants paired with a designer top that screamed, "I'm better than this place." Her sharp voice cut through the drive-thru speaker before she even reached the window, demanding her order be quick and correct. Tom caught Sarah's eye, giving her a reassuring nod as the minivan rolled forward. Neither of them knew it yet, but Karen was about to test every ounce of their patience. The lunch rush was in full swing now, with cars piling up behind Karen's minivan. The smell of fries wafted through the open window, mixing with the faint exhaust from the idling engines. Employees shouted orders over the headset, and the register beeped with each transaction. It was controlled chaos, the kind Tom thrived in. He'd seen his share of grumpy customers, but something about Karen's tone, clipped, entitled, like she was already looking for a fight, put him on alert. Sarah leaned out the window, her smile professional despite the pressure. "Hi, welcome to Burger Haven. Here's your order," she said, handing Karen a paper bag with a cheeseburger, fries, and a soda. Karen snatched it without a word, her manicured nails glinting as she peered inside. For a moment, everything seemed fine. The line moved forward, and Sarah turned to the next order. But then, the minivan stopped dead in the lane, its brake lights glowing red. Karen wasn't going anywhere. Tom glanced at the security monitor, where the minivan loomed large, blocking the flow. A car behind it honked, then another. The policy board seemed to stare down at the scene, its rules about to be challenged. Sarah froze at the register, her hands hovering over the keys. The chaos of the lunch rush was nothing compared to what was coming. A showdown that would test the team, rally the customers, and leave one Karen wishing she'd just driven away. Karen wasn't just upset about her burger. She was ready to hold the whole drive-thru hostage. The silver minivan sat stubbornly in the Burger Haven drive-thru lane, its brake lights glaring as the lunch rush ground to a halt. The line of cars behind it grew longer, their engines idling in the midday heat, while the smell of fries hung heavy in the air. Inside, The kitchen staff hustled, unaware of the storm brewing at the window, but the tension was already crackling. It started when Karen leaned out her minivan window, her face twisted in outrage. "This burger is cold and inedible," she snapped, waving the unwrapped cheeseburger at Sarah, who stood frozen at the cash register. Sarah, still green when it came to handling complaints, took a deep breath and glanced at the policy board mounted beside the window. Its bold letters were clear: "Please present the item for inspection to receive a replacement." She steadied her voice, keeping it polite. "Ma'am, I can remake it for you if you show me the burger so I can inspect it, per our policy." Karen's eyes narrowed, her manicured nails tapping the steering wheel. "Inspect it? I'm not giving you anything. I paid for this and it's garbage. I want a new order free right now." Her voice rose, sharp enough to cut through the headset chatter. Sarah hesitated, her hands hovering over the register keys. She'd dealt with picky customers before, but Karen's demand for a free remake without following protocol was a first. The cars behind Karen's minivan began to honk, a low, impatient rumble that grew louder by the second. Sarah glanced at the security monitor, where the line of vehicles stretched around the building, their drivers craning to see what was holding things up. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I need to see the item to replace it," Sarah repeated, pointing to the policy board. "It's store policy." Karen's face flushed red. "Policy? You're stealing my money!" "I'm not moving until you give me a new order for free." She crossed her arms, settling into her seat like she was staging a sit-in. The minivan didn't budge, its bulk blocking the narrow lane. The honking intensified, and a man in a pickup truck 2 cars back leaned on his horn, the blare echoing across the lot. Tom, who'd been in the kitchen checking the fry station, caught the rising commotion over his headset. He strode to the drive-thru window, his manager badge glinting under the fluorescent lights. At 50, with his marine-honed instincts, Tom could sense a situation spiraling. He stepped beside Sarah, his voice calm but firm. "Mom, I'm Tom, the assistant manager. As my cashier explained, we'll gladly remake your order if you let us inspect the item. It's our standard procedure, right there on the board." Karen barely glanced at him, her phone now in hand as she scrolled furiously. "I don't care about your procedure. This is unacceptable and I'm calling corporate," she barked, jabbing a finger at Tom. "I'll post this all over Yelp, X. Everywhere. You'll be out of a job." Her threat hung in the air, but Tom didn't flinch. He'd faced worse than an angry customer in his time, and he wasn't about to let Karen bully his team. "Mom, I understand you're upset," Tom said, his tone steady as steel. "But blocking the lane isn't going to resolve this. Let's follow the policy, and we'll get you taken care of." He gestured to the policy board again, its rules a silent ally in the escalating standoff. Karen scoffed, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Taken care of? You're ripping me off!" "I'm staying right here." The drive-thru was now a pressure cooker. The security cameras captured every moment. Karen's minivan, immovable, and the growing chaos behind it. Sarah clutched the edge of the cash register, her face pale but determined. The honking became a chorus, and a woman in a sedan 3 cars back rolled down her window, shouting, "Come on, lady, move it." The lunch rush was unraveling, and Karen's tantrum was only getting started. The line was growing, and Karen's tantrum was about to test everyone's patience. Karen's stunt wasn't just annoying. It was turning our lunch rush into a circus. The Burger Haven drive-thru lane, already choked by her silver minivan, had become a battleground. The line of cars stretched past the parking lot, their horns blaring in a discordant symphony. The smell of fries and exhaust mingled in the air, and the security cameras whirred quietly, capturing every second of the chaos unfolding at noon. The crowd was losing patience. John, a regular customer in a beat-up pickup truck 2 cars back, climbed out to see what was holding things up. A burly guy in his 30s with a construction vest, he squinted at Karen's minivan, hands on his hips. "What's the holdup?" he shouted, his voice carrying over the honking. Behind him, Lisa, a college student in a blue hatchback, pulled out her phone and started filming, the lens trained on Karen's window. "This is going viral," Lisa muttered, zooming in as Karen's voice grew louder. Karen leaned further out her minivan, undeterred by the growing unrest. "I'm within my rights," she yelled, her bun loosening as she gestured wildly. "This place is a scam and you're harassing me." She pointed at Tom, who stood calmly at the drive-thru window beside Sarah, and whipped out her own phone, filming him.
"I'm exposing this restaurant."
"You'll be all over X by tonight." Her accusations were absurd, but her defiance only fueled the crowd's frustration. A woman in a sedan shouted, "Just take the burger and go," while another driver laid on his horn, the sound sharp enough to make Sarah flinch at the cash register. Tom, drawing on his Marine training, kept his cool. His eyes flicked to the policy board, its rules about order disputes clear as day, then back to Karen. "Ma'am, you've been asked to follow our procedure or move your vehicle," he said, his voice steady but edged with authority. "Refusing to leave after being asked is trespassing under local law. Our cameras are recording this." He tapped the radio clip to his belt and spoke quietly into it, requesting police assistance. The security monitor showed the minivan, still immovable, and the line of cars now snaking into the street. Karen scoffed, her phone still recording. "Trespassing. You're the ones ripping people off!" "I'm not going anywhere." Her voice cracked with indignation, but the crowd wasn't buying it. John, now closer to the minivan, shook his head. "Lady, you're holding up everyone. Just let them fix it." Lisa, still filming, caught John's comment, her video now capturing the growing chorus of shouts and honks. Another customer, a delivery driver, leaned out his van and yelled, "I've got orders to deliver, move already!" Inside, Sarah gripped the edge of the cash register, her knuckles white. She'd never seen a customer escalate like this, and the pressure was mounting. The kitchen staff, catching wind of the drama, peeked through the pass-through, their work slowing as they watched Tom handle the situation. The policy board loomed over the window, a silent reminder of the rules Karen refused to follow. The drive-thru lane was a pressure cooker, and the clock was ticking. 10 minutes had passed since Karen's tantrum began, and the lunch rush was in shambles. Tom's radio crackled with a response from dispatch, confirming officers were en route. He glanced at the security monitor, where Karen's minivan remained the centerpiece of the chaos, its brake lights glowing defiantly. The honking grew relentless, and Lisa's phone stayed steady, her footage destined to make waves. The crowd's anger was palpable, but Tom's calm resolve held the line, his training keeping him one step ahead of Karen's meltdown. Karen thought she was in control, but the crowd and police were about to change that. When the police arrived, Karen's bravado crumbled fast. The Burger Haven drive-thru, a chaotic mess of honking cars and shouting customers, finally saw a shift. Karen's silver minivan, which had held the lane hostage for nearly 25 minutes, was still parked defiantly at the window, but the flashing lights of a police cruiser pulling into the lot changed the game. The security cameras captured every moment, their lenses fixed on the scene as the lunch rush turned into a spectacle. 2 officers stepped out of the cruiser, one a familiar face to Tom from local community events. Officer Daniels, a stocky man with a no-nonsense demeanor, approached the drive-thru window while his partner, Officer Lee, surveyed the restless crowd. Tom, still stationed beside Sarah at the cash register, gave Daniels a nod. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice calm despite the chaos. Daniels glanced at Karen's minivan, then at the policy board outlining the restaurant's rules. "What's going on here?" he asked. Before Tom could respond, Lisa, college student who'd been filming, hurried over, her phone in hand. "I've got it all on video," she said, showing Daniels the footage of Karen's outburst, her yelling, her refusal to move, and her accusations of harassment. The security monitor inside displayed the restaurant's own footage. which Tom offered to share. "Our cameras caught everything," he said, pointing to the screen where Karen's minivan loomed large, blocking the lane. Daniels reviewed Lisa's video, his expression hardening as Karen's voice blared through the phone speaker. Meanwhile, the crowd's frustration boiled over. John, the construction worker and regular customer, led the charge chanting, "Move your car." Others joined in, their voices rising over the idling engines. A delivery driver pumped his fist, and even a mom in a minivan behind Karen added her own, "Let's go." Lisa, now back among the crowd, shared her video with Officer Lee, who nodded as he watched. The pressure was mounting and Karen's minivan, once her fortress, now felt like a trap. Karen, still leaning out her window, tried to double down. "These people are harassing me," she shouted, her phone wobbling as she filmed the officers. "I'm a paying customer, and they're refusing to serve me." But her voice lacked the earlier fire, and her eyes darted nervously to the police. Daniel stepped closer, his tone firm. "Mom, you've been asked to move your vehicle multiple times. That's trespassing under state law, and your refusal is disorderly conduct. If you don't comply, we'll have your vehicle towed, and you'll face arrest." The crowd erupted in cheers at Daniel's words, John's chant of, "Move your car," growing louder. Karen's face paled, her bun now half undone as she clutched her steering wheel. Faced with the reality of a tow truck and handcuffs, she relented. "Fine," she snapped, throwing her phone onto the passenger seat. With a dramatic huff, she shifted the minivan into gear and rolled it into a nearby parking spot, finally clearing the drive-through lane. The cars behind her inched forward, horns quieting as the line began to move. But Karen wasn't done. From the parking lot, she stormed back to the window on foot, demanding a refund. "You owe me for this humiliation," she barked, her yoga pants swishing as she gestured wildly. Tom, unflinched, stood his ground. "We offered to remake your order per policy," he said, nodding to the policy board. "No refund, but I can still get you a fresh burger if you'd like." His offer was met with a scowl, and Daniels stepped in, issuing Karen a citation for disorderly conduct. "You're lucky it's just a ticket," he said, handing her the paperwork. "Next time, follow the rules and move on." Sarah, still at the cash register, exhaled, her hands trembling but her resolve stronger. The security footage, Lisa's video, and the policy board had all backed them up. The drive-through lane was finally flowing again, the smell of fries wafting as orders resumed. The crowd's cheers faded into murmurs of relief, but Lisa's phone was still rolling, capturing the moment Karen slunk back to her minivan, citation in hand. Karen's tantrum ended, but her troubles were just getting started. Karen's meltdown didn't just clog our drive-through, it lit up the internet. The Burger Heaven parking lot, where her silver minivan now sat after being forced to move, was quiet again, but the fallout from her tantrum was just beginning. The lunch rush resumed, with cars flowing through the drive-through lane and the smell of fries drifting once more. The security cameras, still rolling, had captured every second of the showdown, but it was Lisa's phone video that set the world ablaze. By evening, Lisa's footage exploded on X, posted with hashtags like #Drive-Thru Karen and 5Burger Heaven Justice. The clip, showing Karen's yelling her refusal to move and the crowd's chants of "Move your car," racked up thousands of views within hours. Comments poured in, roasting Karen's entitlement and praising Tom's calm handling of the situation. "This manager deserves a medal," one user wrote, while another quipped, "Karen's minivan is the real villain here." The video even caught the eye of local news, who reached out to Tom for an interview. "Just doing my job," he said on air, his manager badge gleaming as he stood outside Burger Haven, the policy board visible in the background. Reddit's r's entitled People subreddit picked up the story, with users sharing their own Karen encounters, turning a drive-through Karen into a trending topic. The community rallied around Burger Haven like never before. Regular customers flooded X with positive reviews, praising the staff's professionalism. Tom and Sarah handled that mess like champs. One review read, John, the construction worker who'd led the crowd's chants, organized a Support Our Staff Day, showing up with a box of donuts for the team. You guys are the real MVPs, he said, handing the box to Sarah, who blushed but smiled wide. The increased support translated to a spike in business, with the drive-thru busier than ever in the days following the incident. Corporate took notice, sending a note of praise for the team's handling of the crisis, and Sarah received a small bonus for her resilience under pressure. Karen, meanwhile, faced a reckoning. The viral video had unmasked her as a local insurance agent, and her identity spread like wildfire across X. Her employer, caught off guard by the negative publicity, issued a statement distancing themselves from her behavior and announced her suspension pending review. Karen's own X posts, where she tried to defend herself with claims of unfair treatment, were mercilessly mocked, earning her the nickname Drive-Thru Karen. In comment threads, one user posted a meme of a minivan with Karen's face photoshopped onto it, captioned, "When you hold up the drive-thru for a cold burger." The internet showed no mercy, and her reputation took a brutal hit. Legally, Karen's citation for disorderly conduct carried a potential $500 fine or community service, as outlined by state law. Trespassing charges could have followed, given her refusal to move after being asked. But Burger Heaven opted for a lifetime ban instead. A notice was posted at the drive-thru window, stating that the individual involved in the incident was no longer welcome. The security footage, safely stored, served as evidence if Karen ever tried to return. The minivan, once the centerpiece of the chaos, was now just a memory in the parking lot, but its role in the saga was cemented online. The drive-thru lane hummed along, policy board still hanging proudly by the window. Sarah, now more confident, handled orders with a newfound ease, while Tom kept the team steady, his Marine-honed instincts guiding them through the busiest shifts. The viral video had turned a bad day into a triumph, proving that Karen's tantrum couldn't break their spirit. As Lisa's footage continued to rack up views, the message was clear: entitlement might clog a drive-thru, but community support and a solid team could clear the way. Karen's meltdown ended, but her troubles were just getting started. Karen learned the hard way. Entitlement doesn't win in a fair fight. Weeks after her infamous meltdown at Burger Heaven, the dust had settled, but the consequences of her drive-thru tantrum lingered. The parking lot, once home to her silver minivan standoff, was now just a backdrop for the restaurant's bustling routine. The drive-thru lane flowed smoothly, the smell of fries wafting as customers came and went, but the story of Drive-Thru Karen had left a lasting mark on the town and the team. Karen's legal troubles came to a head in court. The disorderly conduct citation, backed by Lisa's viral video and Burger Haven's security footage, resulted in a $500 fine and 20 hours of community service. In an ironic twist, she was assigned to a local shelter serving meals to those in need, a humbling contrast to her demands for a free burger. Burger Heaven's lifetime ban stood firm, with a notice by the drive-thru window ensuring she'd never return. Her reputation, already battered by the iDriveThru Karen hashtag, remained in tatters as ex-users continued to share memes and quips about her minivan misadventure. The policy board, still hanging proudly, had proven its worth as a shield against her entitlement. For the Burger Heaven team, the incident was a turning point. Corporate, impressed by the viral attention and the staff's professionalism, recognized Tom and Sarah's efforts. Sarah, now a confident cashier, earned a raise, her polite demeanor unshaken by the memory of Karen's outburst. Tom received a commendation for his leadership, his Marine-honed calm earning praise from the district manager. The restaurant took proactive steps, implementing de-escalation training for all staff and adding clearer signage to the drive-thru, reinforcing policies like the one on the board. The team's confidence soared, knowing they'd faced down a Karen and come out stronger. The community's support was the real victory. John's support our staff. Day had sparked a wave of loyalty, with regular customers stopping by to share kind words and bigger tips. The drive-thru, once a battleground, became a symbol of resilience, its steady hum a reminder of the team's unity. The security cameras kept watch, but the atmosphere was lighter now, the chaos of that noon showdown replaced by a sense of pride. The story resonated far beyond the restaurant, striking a chord with anyone who'd ever dealt with an entitled customer or cheered for service workers standing their ground. The moral was clear: respect and fairness trump entitlement every time. Karen's tantrum, meant to bully her way to a free meal, only exposed her flaws and rallied a community around Burger Haven. The power of teamwork, backed by clear rules and a crowd unwilling to let her nonsense slide, turned her stunt into a lesson for the ages. It was a reminder to value the people behind the counter, to follow the rules, and to know that a minivan can't block out justice. If you love this story of justice and teamwork, hit that like button, share it with friends, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. In a drive-thru where respect should rule, one Karen's tantrum only fueled our resolve.